Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy Chewie coming back at you. Got a, I actually have a topic to talk about this evening, or today, or whenever you're watching this. This is something that I've been kind of thinking about doing on the website for years and years, and I might have even done one of them. I'm not quite sure. It's called, it's this idea that I've got called firsts and favorites, right? And so, you know, the idea is you talk about something, talk about a toy as an example, right? My first G.I. Joe figure and my favorite G.I. Joe figure. Sometimes the first and the favorite is the same thing, and sometimes it's not. So I kind of have this idea, Transformers and Star Wars toys and this, that, and the other thing. So I'm going to start with first and favorites G.I. Joe figures. So my G.I. Joes, I'm a child of the 80s. I'm 43 years old right now. So, I did not have the old 1960s G.I. Joe figures, which were the kind of 12-inch, doll type figures. I had, the good old, 3 3/4 inch plastic G.I. Joes. My first G.I. Joe figure was a guy by the name of Breaker. He was the communications officer. He had a beard, he had a helmet, he had, I remember it was very cool, he had this piece on his helmet, they could kind of talk into his helmet, which I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And he had a backpack. And I remember getting Breaker. I absolutely loved my Breaker figure. I don't remember exactly when I got it or where I got it. I don't know if it was for a birthday or what have you. But what I do remember is I loved it so much that I had my mother make pajamas for Breaker. So my mom sewed, out of cloth, these PJs. It was a top and a bottom, and so every night I would put Breaker in his pajamas and I would put him to bed. So I don't know. I was probably at the time, I was probably 8, 10. I don't know. I'd have to go back and kind of do the math and figure out how old I was when I was playing with G.I. Joe figures. But so that was my first figure. My favorite G.I. Joe figure was, and I will delineate between G.I. Joes and Cobras. I will do Cobras at another time. My favorite G.I. Joe figure was a guy named Snow Job. Snow Job was a skiing G.I. Joe. He was the only Joe, at least at the beginning, that didn't look like a traditional kind of army guy, right? He, instead of having green or brown fatigues, he had white. His entire outfit was white, presumably to, blend into the snow. But he had this big, huge, crazy red beard. So even if he was blended in the snow, you could probably see him coming a mile away. The figure came with skis and poles, and a gun. And I just remember that was just one of my, that was my favorite G.I. Joe figure. So Breaker was my first, and Snow Job was my favorite. So quick little episode here, but I thought that I would get that out there, and I will come at you next time probably with Cobras, and then we'll do Decepticons and Autobots from Transformers, and we got all kinds of stuff. So hope everybody's doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Late.